Hello again everyone, it's Jim Lynn here. Welcome back to my workshop. I'm with my mate Tony. Hello Tony.
Oh guys.
And we went to the International Plastic Modeller Society show. It's called Scale Model World 23 and that was at the Telford International Centre in November 11th, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Saturday the 11th.
Yeah.
And both Tony and I build models, although I've not built any for many years, but you've built quite a few, haven't you, Tony?
Yeah, I tend to build one a month.
One a month, and it's motorcycles that you're building at the minute, isn't it?
Motorcycles I love the most.
Now, what were you looking for in particular at the show?
I was looking for a rider for the bike.
Yeah.
There's a Tamiya collection of bikes, and they used to do a guy running to jump on it, got him. Another one hanging over like a lunatic, got him.
Yeah.
The guy just sat up straight, looking ahead, can't find him.
Right. So you were looking for that last year as well, weren't you?
Yeah, but I've been looking 2 years now.
And we scoured around the whole show and couldn't find one. So if anyone knows of such a beast, you can put it in the comments and I'll send it to Tony.
It'd be very handy to know.
Yeah. But you used to ride real motorbikes as well, didn't you, Tony?
Yes, I did. In fact, I've got a motorbike I've made. It starts off as a Manx Norton, which is a single-cylinder racer.
Yeah.
But I decided I wanted a twin like I used to ride.
Right.
And by the same manufacturer, there's a Commando, which is a twin cylinder Norton, both Nortons. So I put the engine from the Commando into the Manx racing frame. Okay. And it looks pretty cool. Although I shouldn't show off.
Well, you did used to show off, didn't you? Right, mental so-and-so on your motorbike.
Motorbikes are off, just showing off.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, when we do all these mental things, I used to do mental things in aeroplanes when I was younger, and somehow we survive. But you look back and you go, I only just got away with that. You know?
What we don't want to do is to encourage people to do dangerous things. But it's nice to look back. It's just a model, and it looks like what people had in the 60s.
Yeah, when they were all mad and mental, and no seatbelts.
No seat. In fact, ridiculous. I would go out on this Norton at 100 mile an hour in a blazer and no crash helmet.
So what was the speed limit in those days, Tony?
When I first started riding, it was limitless. Yeah. It was 30 in the built-up areas, of course. And that sign that says national speed limit meant you could go as fast as you want.
Right, I wish it was like that again.
No, it's too dangerous.
Yeah, when I was younger, I'm pretty sure if there was an unlimited speed limit, neither of us would be here.
Well, the speed limit came in, I think, in 1966.
Yeah.
A MP called Mrs. Castle brought it in.
Barbara Castle? All right.
And she didn't drive, so she didn't care.
All right.
It was a safe idea.
I remember I tried to join the Air Force when I was in my early 20s.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I would not be here had I got in the Air Force, because I would have been that idiot that had to go lower and faster than anyone else.
Oh yeah.
Just out of training.
The guy who flies under the bridge.
The guy who flies under bridges. Yeah. The watch this brigade. We used to call them in flying.
Well, my grandson.
Beware of a pilot saying, "Watch this."
Oh yeah. Oh, I could imagine. I mean, it was fun on a motorbike. I wouldn't fancy flying an aeroplane under a bridge, to be honest.
Oh, it can be done.
Yeah, but I like to be able to put my feet down when things go wrong.
Yeah, well, that's one thing you can't do. Anyway, back to the models.
Yes.
So this is a clip of Hall 3, isn't it, Tony?
That's Hall 3. You can tell that from the gantry.
Yeah, we're on the gantry. It's between halls 2 and 3, and there's 3 halls full of people, full of models, full of kits. Everything is here, isn't it?
Everything. Some nice motorbikes, and also another thing I love is the civilians.
Yes, there's a lot of civilian things. I like the civilian models particularly as well. There's the Airfix stand in the top right corner there, and we had a good chat with the young lads there, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
So at the Airfix stand, there was a couple of new kits there, wasn't there? And this is one of them. This is the Fairy Gannet. It's a 1/48 scale kit. Now I remember a Fairy Gannet at Carlisle Airport when I was a flying instructor there, and it was the only aircraft they didn't have keys for, so I couldn't get in it. So I used to go and sit in the Vulcan in the Canberra, for instance, but not the Gannet. And also I used to fly with a guy called Red Skelton. He flew Gannets off HMS Art Royal.
Ooh.
And did you know it had 2 engines?
No, it didn't actually.
Yeah.
I knew I had 2 propellers.
Yeah, well, each propeller, there's 2 engines. It's called a double Mamba. Now what I can't remember is, does each engine drive the other propeller, or do they go through a gearbox? But anyway, well, this is the Sea King. Now I've flown in the Sea King. When I was an air cadet, they wanted to do some training, so they dumped me at a beach, and then they came along later and winced me up. Into it, quite an experience. So this next kit, Tony, I can't remember the name of the ship, but I remember the name of the guy that built it.
Yeah, it was a lovely ship. But I think it's one of the escorts would escort
Something
ships
like that,
across the Atlantic in the war.
So the builder's a bloke called Barry Sharman, as you can see there, HMCS Agassiz, and he's got this fantastic kit with the cutouts. He even got the guy painting the funnel there.
It's a beautiful kit, that is.
Unfortunately, the camera didn't quite focus right, so, you know, but there's a learning curve with this. Now, this is another of Barry's models, absolutely fantastic. It's a diorama of the Mulberry Harbour on the Normandy beaches. And what do you think of this, Tony?
Well, one of the things you notice on this is the vehicles, the number of lorries. And it would take me about 2 weeks to each lorry. And there's lots of lorries.
Yeah, well, I think it's taken them years to build this. You know,
Somebody once told me you can overface yourself. For anybody watching, if you've got 20 lorries, you could think after 5 you get fed up and you can overface yourself.
yeah. Maybe you could outsource them to a pal or something.
Oh yeah.
But I remember that I was reading a model engineering book, and there are in Britain there are thousands of unfinished model steam locomotives.
Oh yeah.
Because it takes so much. Now this is another model, and I was trying to film this, and the focus kept jumping, as you can see, but still you can see enough detail there of how much effort's put into that, isn't it?
The detailing is superb, and you look at the canvas. You think a ship is steel, but there's a lot of canvas on them.
Yeah, there's a lot of canvas there. Yeah, I never noticed that actually. I like the wee pigeon and the bollard on the pier there.
It sets them off, doesn't it?
Yeah, now this is a Japanese ship. Do you know how I know that?
I spotted the flag.
Yeah, look at the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
The flag. So these Americans have come across a wrecked ship. Well, this is another cracking diorama, Tony, wasn't it? I have to say though, those Germans don't really take health and safety seriously, do they?
No, they do not. In fact, I knew a guy who was in the German army. I knew people in that battle from both sides.
And did he die falling off a roof?
No, he died of old age at 90, which was really incredible considering his youth.
I wonder how many soldiers died clambering on roofs like that.
My father-in-law was in the western deserts, and he said he saw more people die of accident than actually shot.
Yeah, training accidents took a lot of guys out as well, didn't it? But this was fantastic, the detail in this. There's that three-dimensional snapshot of something in history, isn't it?
The work just on the roofs, look at the tiling and the roof
and the
beams
framing.
and the framing. The buildings are superb. It's almost like you were there.
Well, this next diorama, I was probably a little too low as an understatement of the century. This looks like a Dam Busters Lancaster bomber. I would say 50 or 60 feet up, and the plumes taking out the tail. And the Americans tried this with a Lockheed Hudson bomber, and they went at 15 feet, and it did take the tail off, and they didn't survive that.
Well, I was speaking to a man who knew a German, and he said it was the most. He saw the actual event, and he said it was the bravest thing he'd ever seen done.
Yeah, 60 feet at night. Yeah, definitely was. Now, these are 3D printed figurines, Tony, and you can tell the detail is absolutely unbelievable. That's a finished version. What did you think of these?
I love them, but to me, I like making models, but these are an exercise in painting. And you can only paint what you're given, the figure, and these figures are superb.
Look at the detail in the mouth, the tongue's in there and everything.
And that little moustache,
Yeah,
and
him
the
with his
cigarette. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic kits. Now, we really liked this, didn't we?
It's excellent. In fact, a lot of people around us thought they'd been to that airfield, didn't they?
Yeah, it turns out it's all fake.
Yeah?
Yeah, and the reason we found it was fake because I got Google Maps out to try and find this, and the gentleman said, "You'll not find it, I made it up." Alright, good to know. These are all tiger moths, by the way, Tony. So I think it's the 30s, 1930s, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen tiger moths flying. I'm that old.
Tell about the cars as well.
But I love the people sitting in those deck chairs.
Yeah. Stockton Flying Club.
Yeah.
You see at the background there's some wrecked fuselages.
Oh.
Every airfield I've been to has got some wreck round the back of the hangar, you know, gathering dust. Now this is close to my heart, Tony, because I've flown these aircraft for that airline. before it went bust. So it's an Embraer 195 on the left, and a Dash 8 Q400 is the purple one. These are different scales, they're not anywhere near the same size.
Why are the wings tipped up?
All modern aircraft have that pretty much. It manages wingtip vortices and significantly reduces drag, making them very efficient. These are aircraft that operate in the Antarctic, Tony, and I know a girl who flies for them. I think she's a captain now, and I think it's on the Twin Otter she flies, although I can't be sure. I thought that little snowcat is quite an interesting machine, isn't it?
I love the snowcat.
This is a Dornier DOX, and it's got 12 engines. To me, that looks like the most draggy wing you can get. That's what you call a low aspect ratio wing.
To me, it looks fun. All that power, all those engines, I would just love to be a passenger in one.
So we've got the Canadair CL44, Canadian transport aircraft.
When I see a picture like that, and I think the back of my aeroplane's only held on by hinges,
Yeah.
it's worrying me.
and the young lad out in the drink the night before was given the job of latching it shut. Now, who doesn't like the Concorde, Tony?
Everybody loves the Concorde.
Everybody. But the Russians tried one, and it looks typically Russian. That's all we can say about that, isn't it?
Some Russian, no.
We're trying to be polite here, but it's a complete and utter mess. Let's face it. No wonder it crashed. Anyway, let's move on. The Saturn V rocket. Now, we like spaceships, don't we, Tony?
We certainly do.
With the glass panels showing the tanks. Effectively, these rockets were just big fuel tanks. That's all they were. With a couple of engines at the bottom. Absolutely incredible feats of engineering. Especially when you come to the lunar module and its little compartment at the top there.
I was surprised where the pilot, for want of a better word, is so tiny.
All it comes back is that triangular, that conical part at the top there. That's it.
Yeah.
So this is a model of the Russian Mir space station, which isn't up there anymore, it's deorbited. But we've got to give the Russians credit for coming up with this modular design. They were the first to do it. An International Space Station is based on it. But if you look at that, it makes your brain hurt, doesn't it?
It's very complicated to describe, but I say, giving the Russians credit for that one, they got that one right.
They did. And next to it, they have the Americans' first attempt at a space station called Skylab. Yeah, it's the third stage of the Saturn V rocket.
I recall the Skylab was often on the news.
It was, yeah, because when they first deployed it, one of the solar panels ripped off during launch.
That would get you on the news.
Yeah, and the other one was damaged, so the first mission had to be delayed so they could work out a way of repairing it. This is Gemini 10. This is when the Americans were practicing all the docking procedures in preparation for Apollo. One of the pilots in this was Michael Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Apollo 11 lunar module pilot.
Yes.
And he actually did a spacewalk and clambered around all over that.
That is a gutsy thing.
Yeah, and his commander was John Young. So there's some excellent kits of the Apollo era spaceships. This is the Apollo with its lunar module, and that's the lunar module after landing, so it's just the ascent stage. And now we're into Star Trek. Now, can you remember what happened whilst we were looking at this stand?
Yes, I do. It was November the 11th.
Yep.
And tradition in this country is to have a 2-minute silence.
Yep.
And the whole hall was silent, which was a credit to the people there, in my opinion.
Yeah, there wasn't a phone rang, there wasn't a cough, you could hear a pin drop.
You could indeed.
Yeah. Just good to take a moment to remember all those civilians who've been killed in warfare. This is from a fan film, USS Farragut, because fans make films. And of course, anyone who's into science fiction likes both Star Trek and Star Wars.
Oh, yes.
There is no rivalry, that's a myth.
No. I always thought of that as a flying television aerial.
Yeah. Now, this is close to my heart as well, Tony, because this is one of the first kits I was ever given in the early 70s. And I'd asked for this kit for Christmas. My parents got me it, but it was too complex for me. And it got, started covered in glue and then abandoned. But yeah, it's quite nostalgic, that. A nice model kit of a barge there.
Yeah.
Now we're into funny motorbikes now, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
So who's this guy?
Do you know, I've forgotten.
I don't know who that is. And this is an odd little diorama, isn't it? It looks like Shaun the Sheep and his pals and a minion. And then Shaun the Sheep and a pig who's been trying to ski.
Showing the sheep can do no wrong.
Ah, motorbikes.
Ah, that's a proper motorbike. It's a motorbike, obviously.
Is it?
It's a dragster bike, and it has got a Triumph engine in it there, and they do 100 mile an hour in about 1 second. It's incredible. You don't have time to breathe.
These cars are dragster cars, aren't they?
Yes, these are all the dragsters. I went to the very first one in Britain, was at Santa Pod in 1966.
Pod, yeah.
And
These
again,
is what they call top fuel.
top fuel.
More motorbikes, Tony.
These are the regular Grand Prix bikes and World Superbike bikes, and different riders, different numbers.
Well, there's a figure. That wasn't the one you were looking for, was it?
It was, because if you look at him, he sat on it straight. Now this is an interesting bike. You can still get them. I saw one in a shop near here.
You can get the actual bike, so you can get the kit.
The kit.
Right.
Yeah, we're back to the kit now. Yeah, you can actually get that kit. It's Tamiya, and Tamiya, I believe, is one of the finest kits, because you could throw it up, throw the glue up, and it would come down looking like that, almost. You know,
Yeah.
they're that good. But for somebody who wants to start a kit, maybe build one for the children, it's a simple, pleasant little kit, and it goes together well, and you can choose the colours of your choice. You can make that bike individual to you and your kids.
Well, that was the 2023 International Plastic Modeller Society show, and we enjoyed it, Tony, didn't we?
We did. It was excellent.
It's a grand day out, and all like-minded people. Very peaceful, everyone getting on, isn't it?
There was no shoving and pushing. It was very nice.
It's not, everyone's very polite. Did you buy anything there?
I bought a great big carrier bag full, which I haven't actually finished yet.
I thought you said you bought a carrier bag.
No, full of models. And as you know, I like civilians. And I've got a Jeep,
Yep.
and a man underneath mending it, and a fellow fiddling with the engine.
All right.
Now, these figures are made in the Ukraine. And it's a lady pumping up the tyre and a man fiddling, which is kind of annoys some women.
Fiddling with the lady?
No, he's fiddling with the Jeep.
Oh.
He's fiddling with the Jeep. But somebody says, why is the woman doing all the hard work?
Well, because why not?
Well, I couldn't possibly say.
No, neither could I. Yeah. Well, I bought this one. Remember this one?
I do.
Yeah, this was £5, wasn't it?
I was remembering that. I thought, that's a bargain Jim's got there, but he'll never make it.
Yeah, and I had to have this because when I was a kid I built the Airfix version of USS Forrestal, or Forrestal, whatever you say it, and I thought this was it. I thought this was the Airfix one, but it wasn't. It's the Revell one, and I'd never heard of this. And when I checked to scale, it's not even 600 scale, it's 1542. So I think the Revell scaled this to fit the box.
I think you're right.
But for £5 you can't argue, can you?
No, not for £5.
So we had our grand day out, and I hope you enjoyed our articulate ramblings or inarticulate ramblings. So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.